Hi, it's Ed Davey. I'm the MP for Kingston and Surbiton, and I'm the leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Okay, so we'll start off with how many seats are you targeting?
Well, we never say exactly the number because it changes actually. What we're finding is in many parts of the country we are performing better than we'd expected to. And I would say particularly in the blue wall seats in London and indeed the home counties, Surrey, Hertfordshire, Sussex, even Kent and Cambridgeshire and so on, we're performing incredibly well actually. Great candidates, fantastic candidates. And in that sort of commuter belt of the blue wall, I think we can take a lot of seats off the Conservatives.
Do you think you need to do a deal with Labour to sort of boost your chances of winning?
No. Well, there hasn't been a deal, there isn't a deal, and there won't be a deal. It's really clear. We've got a very different approach. We do find a lot of Labour supporters like what we're saying on the health service, on the cost of living, on the environment, and are switching to us quite happily. And you know, they're not excited by the Labour Party, and so they're quite happy if we're the ones who can beat the Conservatives, as is the case in many of these seats. They're very comfortable coming to us. And so we've got this is, I think, the exciting thing. We've got people who are willing to come for us from the Labour side, but increasingly from the Conservative side. You know, these sometimes lifelong Conservatives are happy to switch to us. That's what we found in all the by-elections, a lot of the council elections. I've really lost count of the number of people who said, I've always voted Tory all my life, but I'm not voting Tory either ever again or next time. And quite a lot of them are coming our way.
If we end up with a hung parliament after the next election, then what?
Well, I'm very much focused on the election because it's vital you don't take voters for granted and you listen to them. I mean, I think if you sit back for a minute, people's trust in politics has been really badly hit, primarily by, you know, Boris Johnson's lies and dishonesty, then the calamity of Liz Truss, and you know, Prime Minister now who's clearly out of touch, doesn't really understand what people are going through, the cost of living crisis. And I think they just don't think politicians will fix stuff. So I've taken the view that our job is to really engage with voters at community level, to talk to them, to listen to them, and to focus on their issues. And the minute you start getting distracted by, you know, what happens after the election, you're not taking them seriously. And I think it's my job to rebuild that trust, and that means listening to them and focusing on the issues today.
But you're not going to go into a formal coalition with Labour if there's a hung parliament.
Nick, you know, you've been around the Westminster bubble a long time, like I have, and the Westminster bubble is, you know, absolutely fixated on these types of issues. But you go and knock on doors, and people want to know what you can do to help them with their energy bills, their mortgages, their rents, their food bills. I mean, I've never known grocery bills be an issue on the doorstep, but it is now. And you know, then it's, can they get a GP appointment? Can the kids get an NHS dentist? How long are they waiting for an ambulance? This is what people are talking about. And in the Westminster bubble, you know, we don't talk about it enough.
Are you a supporter of the ULEZ?
I've always been very critical of it. I think it's very badly designed in two ways. I don't think it's very effective on air pollution, and I think it's particularly ineffective in suburbs. It's not designed for outer London. And I also think it's just very expensive for people on low incomes. And it's been poorly thought through as a result of that. So we've called for it to be delayed. We didn't want it to go ahead. And we basically said you should take it back to the drawing board. And my colleagues have talked quite rightly about a bigger scrappage scheme, and he's delivered some of that, but not all of it. We've talked about big investment in public transport, which he's completely failed to deliver on. You know, we also believe that a real problem is he's failed to engage the government to get a scrappage scheme for London commuters who come in from outer London by car. So there's a lot of people in the Surreys and Sussexes and Hertfordshires of this world who drive just across the boundary and who are teachers, they're nurses, they're carers, they're small business people, and they're going to be clobbered. And they don't have access to any scrappage scheme whatsoever. And what's the mayor done about that? Nothing.
Another thing that really impacts your constituency and those outer London boroughs are rail fares. And you used to have a campaign where it was trying to get Kingston and those areas into Zone 5. Is that still something you're...
I still want it. The problem is that the railway industry is in a total mess. It can't even think about that. So is Transport for London. And if you look at the railway under the Conservatives, I mean, I've never known an industry in such a calamitous state. So I'm doing quite a lot of work trying to support commuters. So we've been winning some better disability access. A long campaign of mine, which has now come to fruition, it's been built, was a second staircase at Surbiton Station, which was a massive project. But nationally, the Liberal Democrats are arguing for freezing rail fares. Because we have some of the most expensive railway fares in Europe, so very expensive, and people are seeing their trains cancelled and delayed the whole time. If you want to get rid of the Conservatives, you vote Liberal Democrat, and if you vote Labour, you are going to waste your vote, and that's what the Conservatives want you to do. You will split the opposition, because in lots of these seats, in Hertfordshire, in Cambridgeshire, in Oxfordshire, in Surrey, in Sussex, in Kent, and so on, it's the Liberal Democrat vote that's the powerful one.